How do you get your combos to go from this to this? Well, I'm TheDoctorBlu, and today I'm going to show you how to master one of Mortal Kombat 11's hardest combos using rhythmic theory, and we're starting right now. Rhythm as a term can be intimidating, but remember, you practice it every day and every time you pick up a controller. Fighting game mechanics are a delicate balance between hit decay and frame data, and nowhere is this more prevalent than in the idea of combo structure. Juggle a character too little and you'll get no damage. Juggle them for too long and they'll drop out of your combo. It's no surprise that the harder the combo, the more precise your inputs need to be, and that's what I'm here to do. Show you how precision relates to rhythm and how that rhythm can win your next match. Recently, I came across a video by LolHounds 2.0 called The Hardest Combo Mortal Kombat 11, and being completely unfamiliar with the game, I still decided to check it out. I saw a wonderful thumbnail, a great title, and to my pleasure, excellent editing and entertainment. However, whether the combo shown, Sindel's Banshee Loop and her loud and clear tournament variation, is in fact the hardest combo in Mortal Kombat 11 is still unknown to me. So, going forward, please let me know down below if there is a combo that you believe to be harder, and if I agree, I'll do my best to break it down. Speaking of, this idea is sponsored by me. If you like the idea of highly personalized music in the form of fighting game combo structure, you'll love what I'm offering over at Patreon. There are tons of excellent incentives, such as access to the premium side of my Discord and private training, as well as a rhythmic theory combo guide specifically for a character of your choosing. I'll leave the link in the description down below, and look forward to seeing you over on Patreon, where you can support this channel directly. And now, back to the video. Like everything, practice will make perfect. However, during my career as a percussion instructor, I believed heavily in the idea of purposeful practice. So we'll make every part of this video count. First, let's break down the combo inputs to Sindel's Banshee Loops. The tournament variation will give her access to 3 moves that you'll need to make this exact combo happen: Maleficent March, Deadly Echo, and Banshee Blast. While Maleficent March isn't absolutely necessary for the loop by itself, it is an excellent combo starter, initiating a crushing blow for a more optimal setup. You see, with this variation attached, go ahead and head into training mode so we can practice this together. The music you heard in the beginning was the exact timing you'll need to accomplish these loops mapped out onto a tempo grid. If you're unfamiliar with music, that's not an issue. As you can see, I've added a flashing blue light that moves through the measures, like a karaoke-style play-along. Luckily, we'll start slow when we finally attempt the combo and use the music to cement the muscle memory into our very understanding of the core mechanics. Also, notice that these inputs are not in the traditional Mortal Kombat NRS notation. This is simply a simplified version of the PS4 controller layout, as to not complicate matters further with notations such as down, forward, 2. If you're used to that notation, no problem at all. I'll provide an exact duplicate in text form in the description, and you can find it there to practice on your own time. So moving on, the setup to this loop is simple. Press back forward triangle to trigger Sindel's Maleficent March, but be sure to hold triangle until about Sindel's 3rd step. See, after this step, you'll be able to initiate and trigger a crushing blow animation on your opponent. If done correctly, you'll be able to micro dash forward. I do this simply by pressing forward twice into position for the next part of the setup. After your micro dash, you'll want to quickly input down, forward, triangle, and once again hold the triangle until you see Sindel begin to glow with a purple aura. At first, this will be incredibly tricky if you're unfamiliar with the character, but over time, you'll feel more comfortable. You'll want to hold the triangle for this attack because if held long enough, you'll actually reach an additional stun scenario, leaving enough time to cancel into the rest of this loop. Be aware that when you hear the music and the metronome in the future of this video, you'll hear 4 additional beeps which act as a prelude to the actual rhythm. The downbeat of that warning system is when you'll release your scream to stun the opponent. So this is where the actual loop begins. So I'll allow the karaoke and combo to play in the background as we break down the mechanics. You'll want to jump cancel immediately after releasing your held Banshee Blast, leaving Sindel airborne with the proper height to begin the loop. The first input is a triangle, where Sindel attacks her opponent with a hair whip. It's simple enough really, yet where it gets tricky is exactly why you've equipped the move Deadly Echo. It'll allow Sindel to become airborne again for an additional follow-up hair whip. You see, you'll accomplish the Deadly Echo flight mechanic by performing a quarter circle back motion that's down and back in quick succession, followed by the triangle input. On the chart, you'll see 3 inputs over the E of 1, but keep in mind that the game itself chose to represent the inputs this way. It's truly just a swift motion over 2 separate inputs, not randomly 3 inputs in a row. Additionally, in the fighting game community, we would shorthand this as a quarter circle back triangle, or an NRS Dialect, quarter circle back 2. Notice on the rhythmic theory chart that there is some space between Deadly Echo and the next hair whip. This is your cue to stop mashing. You'll need this exact distance between button presses to achieve the proper height for the follow-up hair whip. It's good to get used to this distance while we're doing this slowly, so you're not attempting to mash when we get to 100% combo speed. So once you've hit the hair whip on the E of 2, you'll have a small gap where you can input your second ability in the loud and clear variation known as the Banshee Dash. This is truly what allows the loop to work. As an MK, you have the ability to amplify moves to allow for certain follow-up properties. The Banshee Blast is achieved by pressing back, forward, X in quick succession, not all at once, don't mash them all at once at all, and spinning 1 bar of follow-up meter for an additional air dash with the R1 button. This is the move amplified. After the amplification of Sindel's Banshee Dash, you'll have some time again before you repeat the loop. Relative time, mind you, but enough to slightly reset your hands. It's at this point that I want you to look at the rhythm chart. Notice you could technically cut this in half and find 2 identical and parallel rhythms. The grouping that occurs on the 4 is exactly the same grouping that occurs on the 1, and the grouping that occurs on the E of 2 is exactly the same grouping that occurs on the E of 1 in the second measure. Yeah, sure, it might sound like mad scientist speak, but to me, this is actually brilliant. This is what makes loops so fun in fighting games. There really are the exact same rhythms, usually repeated in quick succession. So that's the good news. Once you learn the first half, you'll just have to be a little bit specific on the second timing in the second half because you've already put in the work to learn the true muscle memory acquired to make this loop happen. After repeating the same inputs you've done in the first half, in the final Banshee Dash amplification with 1 last hair whip, a triangle input on the 3 of the second measure, and get ready to learn an optimal ender. Yet, the variation that LulHounds 2.0 showed in their video didn't do nearly as much damage as the route that I'm showing you now. Now, I say that knowing full well that I'm ending this with a fatal blow, but even prior to the fatal blow, LulHound's route does 461 damage, yet by ending it with a back X back circle, or back 3-4 in MK dialect, we're able to squeeze out 479 damage, way more optimal. So I'd like to give a huge thanks to Rooflemonger for helping me optimize this combo on Twitter. I usually learn all of my Mortal Kombat knowledge from this guy, and he was definitely a help in getting this done. If you do not know his channel, excellent guides for this, excellent guides for other fighting games. Highly recommend him, and I'll link him in the description down below. However, this does require a bit of tricky timing, which luckily is exactly what we're here to analyze. After the final hair whip, you'll want to visualize the character falling and input back X exactly 1/8 note after you've hit your triangle hair whip. Luckily, you can buffer a circle hit immediately after due to MK11's very cool buffer mechanic and almost guarantee the heavy attack connects into Sindel's fatal blow by pressing L2 and R2 at the same time, right at the end of your back 3-4 string. Hey everybody, the editing Dr. Blue here. Just wanted to give a really quick shout out to my good friend, the Star Wars guy, for providing the gentiness that accompanied this rhythmic breakdown. If you like Star Wars and want to talk about that on the daily, head over to his channel. I'll link it in the description below. See you tonight, my dude. Wow, so that's the notation, and I feel like I've done enough talking, so what we're going to do now is let you practice along to this combo at 25% of the original speed. I won't have music playing along with this variation because, well, quite frankly, it's just a bit too heavy and distracting at that tempo. I understand that's a completely relative opinion. However, once you finish that section, move on to the 50% speed section, where you will be accompanied by 45 seconds of music. You won't need to play along in your own training mode, because MK11 sadly doesn't have a slowdown function, so I highly recommend just following along with your controller on screen after the breakdown. Now after 2 reps of this loop, you will have a measured break in between where the combo resets. The cue in this is the announcer will say the words fatality. Use this as a time to get your hands ready to practice the rhythm once more. Please revisit this section as much as you need because we really speed it up once we get to 75% section that does exactly the same method. And finally after that, you'll be thrown into the 100% speed section of the combo. If you're serious about getting this loop, this is the best way I know how to build your muscle memory. And that's what it's all about. Okay, good luck. This guide is designed with thoughtful practice in mind, and I fully realize it's not everybody's ideal method of explanation. However, as with most things, a methodical approach to progress is often the quickest path towards success. If you've taken the time to learn the string inputs at proper timing, you'll be so much better off than someone who's just decided to take the route of trial and error and just mash out their way towards success. Again, if you like this approach and want to have a combo broken down for you, the Patreon is in the description below. If you have a combo that you think is harder in MK11, please send it my way. I primarily break down combos for Dragon Ball FighterZ, but this has been an excellent exercise for me and my craft. I want to take a second to thank all of my subscribers for allowing us to almost be at 5K. And my Discord for being an excellent support system in this transitionary phase of the channel, and all of you who've watched and shared these videos with the FGC. So, I've been the Dr. Blue, and you're incredible. Like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Go grab yourself a nice cup of tea, and I'll see you in the next video.
Peace out. Ha 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 ha.